judgment's a blur. Don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another round. We're talking shit, don't hear a sound. Take a hit and pass around. Highest out, drunk like, and finally don't give a fuck, 'cause
Hey everyone, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now I'm hoping that this week we're not going to have any technical difficulties with the live stream. According to YouTube, I got an orange light, which means we might have a bit of lag and a bit of streaming problems. So let me know if you guys notice anything. So hey, how's it going? Mega Man 2016, CH Development, Techno Joe, Gangsta. I love it. I love it when you guys call me gangster. Nobody ever calls me gangster anywhere ever, right? It's not like a normal thing where people walk, like I'm walking down the office building and people high-five me and say gangster. Although one day it's kind of the way I like things to do, like things to be. But this week has been kind of a I'd say a slow week. I mean, it just seems like I've just been trying to get on with things. One of the things I've done this week is handed over all my personal emails to my VA, trying that out and seeing whether or not my productivity improves a little bit. I mean, it's difficult when I'm always responding to email, even though I know that I'm not supposed to do that, and always going from this thing to that thing to this thing to that thing. So I'm trying to get better at that. All right. This week I've been looking a lot at Google sales. If you follow our Instagram, I was talking a little bit about that yesterday, where I think I'm starting to notice that we're getting more in terms of Google Play purchases than we have in the past. And even then, so I've been playing around with raising the price a little bit to see whether or not, how much that slows down the growth. I mean, it's always playing around with the pricing of the applications, and even though I raised the price a little bit, I'm still getting a few downloads, fewer downloads, but I'm gonna wait for like a week to see how that goes. But I've been looking a lot at sales and the pricing structures and everything there, which I'll talk about a little bit here too. And then the other thing I've been doing is coding a Corona application. So, it's been a while since I've actually sat down and coded out a game, and it's been kind of fun. It's been one of those rare situations where, because I've done it so many times in the past, that everything just sort of flows. It goes really, really quickly. So, it's really kind of enjoyable. It's enjoyable when, there's sometimes when you're coding something, it just feels like everything is just trying to shove a square peg into a round hole, and like nothing works the first time. And for some reason, all the stuff on the game development has been going really well, except integrating with the Google Play Game Services leaderboards. That bit has just been really difficult. That every time I have to integrate with a third-party system like Google Play Services, Game Center, or more specifically Facebook always has like loads of bureaucracy and things to do, and things that the terms and conditions are always changing. So I have a client saying, we want to do this on Facebook, we have to do this on Facebook, and I have to think, let me check to see if that's still possible, because you find documentation that's even just a year old, and there's been so much in the news with Facebook that they're always tightening they're always tightening the guidelines and everything. And then also I've been doing videos for clients. So I've only doing 2 videos a week. Has been, I still kind of miss doing the daily video, but I'm trying to do them a little bit better. So I appreciate everybody who's all the nice comments and stuff this week. But I've also been doing a video for a client, just showing them how to use an application that we did. And it's much more difficult to do a video for a client than it is to do for yourself, because I have to be very serious and, okay, today I'm going to show you how to use this application and stuff like that. So, Accord Funk, hey, how's it going? CH Development says, Eric, how visible is your in-app purchases options in the apps, and what about the impact of visibility? Good question. So that was one thing I did like just a couple years ago, where I took the in-app purchases, they were like up in the menu, and I moved them down to like just on the front page. So I have like a little thing that says, if you've already purchased all the in-app purchases, hide the button, otherwise have the button shown, and then that way that button's always there in front of them so that they know there's other features to add, which like from a cosmetic point of view, I didn't really want to do it. I think it's nicer to have a cleaner interface without having to worry about that kind of stuff, but I did add it on there just to increase the sales, and I think the sales did increase a little bit. However, just looking at the stats and stuff this week, I'm finding that more people are buying the Pro version than are making in-app purchases. I mean, it's just strange that that's the case now on Google Play. And I'm thinking that what I said in the I was saying this on Instagram yesterday. I'm trying to get better at Instagram. If you guys follow on Instagram, you know it kind of sucks so far, but I'm trying to get better at it. But like one of the things that I've noticed on is that I think the market's going to start to mature a little bit, where people are going to start making more purchases and are start getting used to buying things through apps. Where, I mean, I know it's been growing over the years, but I remember in the early days of web, like in the early 2000s, when everybody was going crazy about buying like hugely expensive domain names so they could put out their pets.com or whatever, and all this money was being thrown, like millions of dollars being thrown at these companies, these startups, so they could start these websites, and the average person was not willing to spend any money online. A lot of people gave up and they moved on to other things, and they thought, oh, it was a failure. They overspent. They did all this kind of stuff, and then they got out of it. And of course, now people make purchases online all the time. In fact, it's killing retail because, like, it's so much easier to make these purchases through Amazon or eBay. Yeah, mostly Amazon. And I'm wondering whether or not the apps are going to get that way. Whereas before, it was like, look, nobody pays for anything in apps. Nobody buys apps. Nobody does this. But I'm starting to see the payments go up. I mean, I'm just starting to see that revenue rise there a little bit, and it's a lot more exciting to me because nobody likes serving ads. I mean, it's nice to get revenue through ads, but I hate having to show ads in my applications, you know. But yes, that was something I did. Let's see, Mega Man, do you use analytics and logging in your games? I do. I have analytics in the games, but I don't really like analyze it very often. Like, it's one of the things that I always think one day I'm going to sit down and figure out what all this means, but I can see how many people are clicking through whatever. And I do use analytics more, not so much in the games, but in the like Ear Agent. I'll look at that. So if I add something new, I'll look at the analytics, scene. Who's clicking on what, who's actually going up to that menu up in the upper right hand corner in the action bar, you know, that kind of stuff. So you know, just like the normal stuff. But most of the time I use analytics just so I can see the real-time stream and think, good, people are still using it. That's really what I'm doing. It's more the app open that I'm more concerned with than anything else. But I haven't done too much in terms of analytics, in terms of what people are actually clicking through on. So let's see. All right, Cord folks. So how did the sales and raising the prices go in the Ear Agent app? Okay, so I raised it yesterday morning. Okay, so let me show you guys my screen here. This is what I wanted to. The reason I got to this point is that my son was showing me this application, and he was showing me this one, the most expensive game 2048. Now, one of the problems is I'm on. Right now, my day-to-day phone is an iPhone, so I only see the App Store. So I haven't really been looking a lot at what it looks like when you have items on sale here. And of course, you have this one here, £294. Right now, it's on sale for free, so that I could get the downloads up and stuff like that. And I saw this, and I thought, that's really spammy. That's really kind of, I mean, it's really, you know, like, who wants to do that spammy kind of stuff? And I thought, oh, you know, maybe I could raise the price a little bit and see what it's like. I mean, if that's what it looks like, I thought my plan was to I will raise the price of Ear Agent, and then I'll put it on sale all the time. Sort of like some shops are always closing now sale, and they never close. I thought, I'll just do that. It's a much nicer. It looks a lot nicer. However, as soon as I started doing that, I realized that Google Play sales can only be for up to 7 days, and you can only do it once per month. So I started looking at this, and I mean, most expensive game. I'm sure, you know, who knows? I doubt anybody's gonna pay for that, or what. I don't know what the motivation there is. Maybe just because you see it as a value and you go into it and download it for free. But I was also doing a search on other things that was like most expensive, and there's like, actually it's like a common thing. It's like some sort of trend where lots of people say most expensive game. You got all these really expensive stuff. I just typed in most expensive into the search, and it came up with all these kind of stuff. I don't understand the motivation here, unless somebody accidentally makes that purchase. I don't really understand why it would be, but seeing that, I thought, well, let me just see if I raise the price and see if anybody still makes a purchase. And there are people still. I mean, to be fair, I did actually go through and fix a bunch of things on Ear Agent. This is like, I should actually be doing quite a bit of coding this week. This is what it's like when I get a focus, right? So I sat down and I fixed a bunch of issues with Ear Agent Pro. I released it and then I raised the price, and I had a few purchases on it, and actually had a pretty good day yesterday where I think I made £40 for the day, which is, it's not bad, but I want to see how it goes over the course of the next week or so. My assumption, I'm assuming that we're going to get fewer purchases, but it's also less. But if it does work out, then I can start looking at using Facebook ads, because that's the whole thing with advertising. If you're actually tracking your ads all the way through, if you know that you're going to make $2 per user, then you could spend up to $1.50, right? It still works in your benefit. All you got to do is start pushing more money into it, even though your margins are smaller. At least it works. Advertising works that way. But it doesn't work if you're making 10 cents per user, because you're doing ads only. So that was one of the things that every time I go with ads, I try to advertise my application through Facebook ads. It would work, but it would only work in terms of, I want to spark, like I want to get it up in the rankings, or I want to get more reviews, I want to get more traction on it, more momentum, but not anything else. So let's see. Techno Joe says, when it comes to Android development, what screen sizes devices do you test on? I need to buy a few Android devices for testing. I have no clue which devices to get. Now, when it comes to sizes, I think the emulators work pretty well. Like I have on the iOS side, I do most of my testing on iOS because I'm on a Mac and it's just easier. Every time I test on an Android phone, actually no, Android's not too bad. But I only have a few devices for physical testing, because what I'm looking for is memory issues, crashing out. I mean, there's only so much you could test. But when it comes to device sizes, for that, I'm pretty much happy to go with the simulators, because that should be a good approximation. All right, so that's kind of the way that I go. But you have to have. I think you have to have a physical device. Like the game I've been doing this week, I was doing it in Corona. Everything looks good in the Corona simulator. I've tried all the different screen sizes of Corona simulator. As soon as I put it in the iOS simulator, then you get all kinds of things move. Things don't quite look the way they should, so they have to go through and adjust that, test it that way. But it's a much faster. Every time you have to install to a physical device to test, it just slows down the whole process. And this is why, integrating with Facebook SDK or the Google Play game services, it slows everything down. It's constantly deploy to the device. It's not connecting. Why is it not connecting? Do I have the right key assigned? Do I have whatever? What does this error message mean? I go on it. Nobody else ever has had this message, and I have to think, is it this device? So I grab another device. So I have in terms of Android devices, I've got my Nexus 6P. I've got a Nexus 5 over there. I've got an Android Nexus 10 tablet right here, which I've been testing on this week, and I've got a Kindle Fire. And I've got a couple of other really old Android phones, which aren't even worth testing anymore. They're just sort of around. So that's kind of what I test on. So Mega Man says $299 to $329 seems to be the sweet spot for the remove ads IAP. Really? So my remove ads is still 99 cents, because I haven't actually raised it. I haven't raised that one. So I've got the free version of the app, which everything is available through in-app purchases, and I got the Pro app, and the Pro app seems to be doing pretty well on sales. I'm kind of happy with it, and it's just so much more. It's so much more cleaner just to have a paid app. If people actually go through and use it, and I think it was after talking to a few iOS developers who just had paid apps, and they were saying, and they were doing well, they were living off the revenue, and they're one of them, she hired me for some consultancy on some stuff, and she said, do you think I should release a free app? And I was like, not if it's working. The free app could actually take away from the paid app, but I know in the past that I've released paid apps without having a free app and nothing. So my whole thing has been do both apps at the same time. And now as I start to look at it, I start thinking, so I have the paid app, which is good. I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about, even if I do remove ads, it's nice because the library is not included in it. There's nothing in the SDK to bloat it up, like if they just pay for it outright. Whereas if I have the like turn off ads through in-app purchase, I mean, they don't get the ads, but they still have that SDK in there. So I still have to make sure that SDK is up to date, so it doesn't get pulled for any reason. And so I'd rather just like not have the SDK in there at all. I'd rather just have just the app, right? They paid for the app. I'm happy with that. And I think I removed Firebase Analytics from it, just based on what we were talking about on a video a few weeks ago. But the remove ads on the free version, I haven't played around with it. I think it's still 99 cents. So Mega Man, I'm gonna try to raise that up a little bit. And John Mulligan, hey, how's it going? So yeah, John, I also want to do what you were talking about too on the emails in terms of Google AdMob. I'm still a little bit afraid of that part. John says, anyone know of a good Android library to create zip files that have a password on them? Got to hop on the work call soon. Looking forward to a solution when I watch it later. I know there's a I've used a few, not in Android, but I've used some zip plugins on Corona, and I've used them in Ionic. So I mean, but they are available on Android. But I'm not sure what the underlying libraries SDKs, but maybe somebody else would have that. CordFlux says, I only test on physical devices these days, but I'm on the Flutter train. Well, that's different. Testing on a physical device on Flutter is completely like it's almost as good as doing it on screen. And in fact, it is as good as doing it on screen because you have that hot reload. Now I've tried to do hot reload with a physical device using Android live loads and also using Ionic, and it seems like it works 20% of the time. I mean, maybe I don't have something wrong, but it seems like there's always some little issue. Whereas using Flutter, I really like how quick that does it, and I just really need to get on that Flutter train. Let's see, and he has a iPhone 6s, a couple of Galaxy phones, a Huawei P Smart, and a Galaxy Tab A. The Galaxy Tab is awesome. It's like $200 USD and it works great. See, my Galaxy Tab, the battery on this thing, this thing is old. I bought this before I bought the my first iPad, and it's I think it's one of the first Galaxy Tabs. And the battery is so old that the battery lasts like 20 minutes. It's like always plugged in. So I've got one of our clients has a tablet application on Android only. So I've been using this a lot lately, just to load up the application, test it out, do some demos. And the one thing I can't stand about testing on Android is like when I want to demo something on the screen, I can't record the screen very well because I can't find a really good way of doing it. Like if you have a Mac and you have an iPhone and you just plug in QuickTime, you can record the QuickTime screen. It's very simple, very easy. It's one of the few things about iPhone that's easy, iPhone development that's easy. But when it comes to Android, there's all kinds of other things I need to do. I've tried to use Reflector. I've tried to use AirDroid. I've tried to use all kinds of other things, so I just can't seem to get the. This was holding up a demo I was supposed to give to a client because their app was in Android only, so I couldn't record the screen. So I did the thing where you actually get the camera and film yourself using the screen. You can see your reflection in the screen using the application. Nice thing is though, you can see your fingers using it though. But let's say CordFunk says, "Yo Eric, do you use only Node for server side? I'm thinking about moving to TypeScript for my next project. I would like to use Dart, but there is now Firebase Admin SDK, and after only writing strongly typed code for months, I found that having code hinting slows me down too much. They're not having code slot. So I think I still do native Java. I mean, not native Java. I still use JavaScript, right? I try to get into TypeScript, and I did it a little bit, but I found that when I go to TypeScript, I still am using too close to JavaScript. Like I'm declaring my variables the same way I was. I'm not doing anything special. So but yeah, I prefer to use Node just because I love running it. I love running it client side. I love the fact that you can just spin it up, run it, test it out. Everything goes well. Like whenever I do anything in like say PHP, you have to put get the server involved, whether it's Apache or XAMPP or whatever. And then since I moved to the Mac, I'm not using .NET anymore. Although I know you can use .NET with Mono and stuff, but I've never really bothered with it. I mean, why pay the high server prices if you don't have to. And in there, about 10 years ago, I started getting into Ruby, but that was it. I never really got very far. So I think I like Node.js just because it's just quick and simple. I use Node.js for server stuff. It's nice that it because you use JavaScript. Like if I want to write a macro for Google Docs or Google Drive, so I have some automated scripts that run on Google Drive. Like I could do that in JavaScript, and I don't have to worry about it doesn't support TypeScript or whatever. And I could do it in Node.js, and I have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of helper libraries that I've written in Node. So an example is a icon resizing script, which is like I was using it this week in Corona, where I get the icon. The client gives me the icon in 1024 by 1024, and all I have to do is I put it in a folder with a certain name on it. I run the script. It goes through and just resizes it into the different names and the styles. It puts it in the image assets folder, all that kind of stuff, which sounds easy, but like I did have one project where I was reskinning it and I had like 20 versions of it. So it was nice to have that control where I can say, okay, for each one of these versions, go through and just find the icon for that application, resize it to all the different places, do all that stuff. So, and I like that idea that I could just use one language, right? I'm terrible at batch scripts. I'm terrible at batch scripts and stuff like that. And the fact that I could just write Node and I could run it locally on the machine and do all kinds of stuff is just something that I really like to do. But yeah, Dart. I mean, I was same as you. I was looking at Dart in terms of the thing about going to Flutter. I was kind of afraid of was that I have two languages that I need to keep track of. It's bad enough when I go into Corona and I have to use Lua, which is syntactically different, and which means every time you do something like, like you do the if then end thing. So it's not just if statement, it's if and then, right? You have to put if, then, and then the block, and then you have to put end at the end, which is just, I always get it. I always forget the then on there, right? So I'm running through it and I have to go, that kind of stuff. And if you ever move, like when I moved from VB to C#, it was the same. Forget the semicolon, forget the brackets, that kind of stuff. So let's see. And where everything goes well. What JavaScript were you writing? I just like writing JavaScript. I don't know. There was I saw this T-shirt once that I found this T-shirt on Amazon once. It was about JavaScript. It said a T-shirt that said, "Writing JavaScript is like talking to my wife. You get one thing wrong and you spend days trying to figure out what it was." Right? That was, but that's what JavaScript could be like. Or you're just going through and you're like, this was working before, it's not now, and you got some misplaced semicolon somewhere, or you got brackets that are off somewhere, and you got to go through and do it. But let's see. Noise Gaming says, "Do you play PUBG?" I don't know what PUBG is. Cool. Wow, you know what? This live stream is. Wow, we've answered all the questions already. I don't have too much stuff. Let's talk about a few other things, because there was a few things I wanted to just bring up to you guys' attention since we don't have very many questions today. And so I was showing you the most expensive app. But there was like this, on the Google Play developers blog, there was improved app, this was from a few weeks ago, improved app quality and discovery on Google Play, where they got some really good things here on terms of quality guidelines, engaging content. And some of the things they point out makes me think about like what I need to change in terms of my release cycle, because I never use alpha and beta tracks, right? And people have asked, do you think it's going to help with the ranking that you do that? And I've always been of the opinion that if Google gives you something to use, you should use it. But it's easier said than done, because I don't usually have alpha testers and beta testers to go through. But it's starting to, as I start to see this, the good in-app user, follow the quality guidelines, the testing tracks, the engaging content, the ad placement. But also we've got this bit here about the pre-launch reports. Oh, that was the thing about using the beta tracks, and Rodrigo was telling me about this, is you get those pre-launch reports. Like it tells you what it looks like in different devices, all that kind of stuff. It does all this pre-testing for you, and I really should do that. But then we also got the new icon specification, updating your icon before June 24th, which is something I didn't really think very much about, but they've got all this stuff here about the Google Play icon design specifications, which I really hadn't heard anything about previously. So I need to go through and look at this, but it's more like, you know, what your icon should look like, all that kind of stuff, which is kind of interesting. So I think we're going to end. So I think we're going to end the live stream a bit early today. This, so because I think we've answered all the questions, but I appreciate everybody who showed up today. So it's never been this fast before. So I'm going to go, and tonight I'm going to watch Aquaman on Blu-ray because that's what I got for Father's Day, and I want to eat pizza, and it's going to be a great night tonight. You know, as you get older. But anyway, thanks everyone so much for showing up on the live stream today. It's been a very quiet night tonight. Only a handful of people today, but you know, I don't know. Maybe it's a YouTube issue. Thanks everybody for coming by. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for showing up to the live stream, and I'll talk to you guys again on the Overpass Insights tomorrow, and I'll talk to you on the live stream next week. Talk to you later. Bye.
Taking this blindfold off to see what this life's all about.